Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom, where we explore the hidden depths of health, one cell at a time. I'm Ethan, your ever-observant guide into the wondrous and sometimes bewildering landscape of human wellness.
And I'm Alara, ready to dissect the data and dish out some good-natured sass in the process. We're here to talk about how the tiniest details of our health can make a huge difference down the line, especially when it comes to what we do as kids.
Indeed, if we're talking about big differences, I like to think of my childhood achievements, like perfecting the art of couch-based video gaming. Apparently, that might not have done my brain any favors.
There's a fine line between conquering digital alien invasions and cultivating real-life aerobic stamina. Although the idea of saving the galaxy from your living room does sound noble, today we're exploring how some childhood habits can impact our brains decades later. Specifically, we'll look at fresh insights on cardiovascular fitness in childhood and its surprising link to dementia risk in adulthood.
Surprising indeed. You'd think the biggest risk of couch potato living would be having the couch permanently molded to your backside. But it seems there's more to it than that. According to Dr. Joseph Mercola's analysis, cardiovascular health in childhood is potentially a big player in long-term brain health.
Now we're saying that skipping recess might come back to haunt you during your retirement party. But here we are. Let's break it down. The data shows that higher body mass index and faster weight gain in childhood can reshape particular parts of your brain, regions that are often involved in dementia.
Yes, the research indicates that excess weight or sedentary lifestyle in youth can literally thin out or alter areas like the precuneus, parahippocampal gyrus, and even the entorhinal cortex.
I have to admit, entorhinal cortex sounds like a fictional planet from a space opera, but it's actually crucial in memory formation. And apparently, you don't want to see that planet shrinking prematurely.
So, the message is that these brain regions can be compromised if we let unhealthy habits run amok during childhood. Thinning out something called the parahippocampal gyrus is not exactly a great legacy to leave your younger self.
True. This parahippocampal region is involved in memory encoding and retrieval, which is kind of a big deal for things like remembering birthdays, finishing your grocery list, or recalling the name of your first grade teacher. And it's one of the first to be affected when dementia starts knocking.
That's a knock none of us want. Let's talk about the bigger picture. If you're overweight as a kid, or if your weight goes up too rapidly, it's linked to changes in these brain structures. And if that overweight status continues through childhood and adolescence, the effect is apparently stronger. It's like a double down for future trouble.
Yep, sustaining excess weight over a long period isn't just about tight pants or a second helping of dessert. It's about possible consequences for that gray matter. But let's not wallow in doom and gloom. There's plenty of good news about how to stay on top of it, especially if you start early.
We're not here to guilt trip any parents or blame any childhood habits. We're just exploring how crucial it is to keep kids active, because apparently that has a direct effect on how their brains develop. And the good news is that there's quite a bit we can do.
Absolutely. There's another piece of the puzzle from research that explored the link between cardiovascular health in adolescents and actual cognitive function. These adolescents who exhibited healthier heart-related habits, like physical activity, better sleep, avoiding excessive junk foods, also showed better executive function. Their brain volume was larger, which is a pretty big sign that those healthy behaviors truly matter.
Talk about a bonus. Get on the treadmill as a teen, and you might just be building extra squares in your mental mosaic. That's something I could have used when trying to pass algebra.
Me too. I mean, imagine if we'd known that playing outside wasn't just for burning energy, but also for boosting executive function. Those are the skills we rely on every day for everything from problem solving to ignoring impulse buys in the candy aisle.
The entire cortex, that outer layer of the brain involved in higher level processes, is apparently thicker or has a larger surface area if kids consistently engage in beneficial cardiovascular habits. So, there's direct evidence that hearts in good shape equal brains in good shape.
Which begs the question, how can parents or guardians cultivate that in a world full of screens, snack foods, and stressful schedules? Because let's be honest, most of us grew up associating exercise with punishment, like wind sprints in gym class for talking out of turn.
Some of us only ran when the school bully was chasing us. And if that was your only impetus for cardio, you might need to rethink your relationship with movement now. Dr. Mercola's analysis suggests something quite radical. We should make movement fun.
That's the concept behind gamifying your fitness. Get your kids dancing to music, running around, playing imaginative games, climbing, anything that sparks that natural sense of joy. Because kids do like to move if we don't tie it to, say, a dreaded beep test.
The beep test. The bane of high school existence. Or was that just me? Anyway, the research also highlights that a high-quality whole food diet is key. We're talking about real fruits, vegetables, and protein sources that won't sabotage a kid's developing body. Not just a kale smoothie once a month, but a consistent pattern of nutritious meals.
And if you're trying to bring in a whole food diet, you can do it without fanfare or lectures. Sometimes it's as simple as making healthy snacks more accessible than the cookie jar. Slice apples, keep nuts handy, or offer colorful, crunchy vegetables. Even if a kid might initially side-eye that carrot stick, Repetition and positive reinforcement can do wonders.
Another factor, sleep. It's easy to overlook, but it's crucial for all of us, especially children. There's a big connection between sleep and healthy brain development. It's in those deeper stages of sleep that so much restoration happens. Miss out on that, and it's like telling your body, we'll just skip the housekeeping portion of the night.
Then you wind up with a messy mental house. No one wants that. And since we're on the housekeeping theme, we also want to keep an eye on toxins. Dr. Mercola references things like seed oils, endocrine-disrupting chemicals, and excessive electromagnetic fields as culprits that can affect mitochondrial function. That's your cellular energy center. Kind of a big deal.
The modern world is full of these subtle saboteurs. We might not notice them daily, but they can accumulate. Seed oils, for example, are in so many processed foods. They're not exactly your child's best friend if you're trying to protect that budding hippocampus.
Minimizing exposure to endocrine disruptors is also important. These chemicals can be found in certain plastics, personal care products, and even household cleaners. It's all part of being mindful about what goes into and around our bodies, especially when those bodies belong to kids whose brains are still forging connections.
Exactly. And Dr. Mercola's big point is that if you can optimize your mitochondrial function by cutting out harmful oils, reducing chemical exposure, and ensuring proper nutrition, your brain benefits at any age. But the effect is particularly profound if you start young.
So the overarching theme is prevention. We can't guarantee zero risk of dementia, but we can stack the deck in our favor, or in our children's favor, by building strong foundations early on. Physical activity plus good nutrition plus healthy sleep plus minimal toxins equals a brain that's more resilient to decline.
I appreciate that there's an empowerment angle. We often talk about dementia as something that randomly appears as we age, but this research suggests there's a real timeline, with seeds planted way back in childhood. Instead of feeling helpless, we can say, let's start shaping that future right now.
True. On top of that, it doesn't have to be some grand, complicated plan. You don't need to run a marathon, ship your kids off to a Swiss mountaintop for clean air, or banish all electronics, although some of those options might be tempting. Simple steps can make a real difference.
One simple step is cutting down on screen time. If I had a nickel for every minute I spent glued to a screen in my childhood, I could probably buy a private island. Technology has become so pervasive that it's easy to forget it's a major driver of sedentary behavior.
I'm not suggesting we all live off the grid, but a balance helps. Kids can still play that educational app or watch a nature documentary. Just pair it with sufficient outdoor play, bike rides, dance-offs, whatever gets their hearts pumping. It's the synergy that matters.
Another big factor is stress management, even for children. It sounds weird, but kids do experience stress. School, social dynamics, family issues, that one tough teacher with a pop quiz fetish. These can all raise stress hormones, which in turn can affect health.
Absolutely. Teaching kids to identify and manage stress early not only builds emotional resilience, it also helps their overall well-being. Whether it's taking breaks to breathe, spending time in nature, or adopting simple mindfulness practices, that kind of stress management has ripple effects on their physical health too.
And if this all sounds daunting, fear not. You can start with one small change, like encouraging a brisk daily walk, and build from there. This isn't about perfection. It's about a sustained, consistent effort that helps children grow into healthier adults.
Dr. Mercola's emphasis is precisely that. Small lifestyle changes can add up, and they don't just help kids. Adults can benefit too. Think of it as a whole family approach. If the parents are making healthier choices, cutting back on those problematic seed oils, for instance, the kids naturally follow suit.
And while we focus on kids, let's not forget that we can always pivot later in life. Even if you spent your own youth perfecting the art of avoiding all PE classes, you can still make changes now to protect your brain going forward.
Exactly. Our brains are pretty forgiving if we give them the right conditions. But for parents wanting the best for their children, starting early is a powerful strategy. What stands out to me is how the brain regions impacted by early cardiovascular risks are the same that deteriorate in conditions like Alzheimer's disease.
That's a strong connection. We often think of heart health as purely physical, keeping arteries clear, maintaining healthy blood pressure, and so on. But the notion that the heart-brain link starts in childhood suggests we need a more holistic view of health.
And that's where Dr. Mercola's cellular wisdom angle resonates. It's about understanding that each cell in your body, be it muscle, brain, or otherwise, is influenced by the environment you create. If you're giving those cells nutrient-dense fuel, proper rest, and a low-toxin environment, they're going to function better. That includes the cells that keep your brain humming.
Well said. And speaking of cells humming, let's consider the daily movement aspect. We're not talking about scheduled exercise alone. We're talking about the daily active living that used to be a given for previous generations. Walking to school, climbing trees, that sort of thing.
So many of us are used to driving everywhere, or we're cooped up inside. Recreation sometimes feels more like an item on a to-do list than a natural part of life. But kids are naturally active if we let them be. We just have to provide safe, fun spaces for it.
And as we do that, We're effectively safeguarding them against potential issues like structural brain changes that correlate with future dementia risk. That's quite a payoff from something as simple as playing a round of hopscotch.
Yes, it's old school, but maybe that's exactly what we need. Hopscotch, hide and seek, freeze tag. They're the timeless traditions that get kids using their bodies in dynamic ways. And if it helps the hippocampus stay strong, I'm all for it.
Let's also mention the role of a whole food diet. It doesn't have to be gourmet. Just keep it clean. Real fruits, vegetables, organic if possible, quality protein, healthy fats. The more we steer away from ultra-processed items, the better.
That's the heart of it. Minimizing chemicals that can disrupt hormones or damage mitochondrial function is another step. Sometimes it means reading labels a bit more carefully or opting for glass containers over plastic. Little changes, big results.
Summing it all up, the seeds of dementia might be planted long before wrinkles or retirement plans appear. According to these studies, the blueprint for a healthier brain starts with good cardiovascular fitness, healthy weight maintenance, daily movement, quality nutrition, ample sleep, stress management, and toxin reduction.
And it sounds like a lot, but really it's an integrated lifestyle approach that benefits kids in the short term and sets them up for stronger brains later on. We're effectively building up their mental bank account so that years down the line, they'll have more reserves against cognitive decline.
And if that doesn't convince you, just think. If your child has robust executive function, they might actually listen when you say, "Clean your room." That's a joke. But wouldn't it be nice?
Dream big, Ethan. Dream big. In all seriousness, the takeaway is empowering. We're not at the mercy of fate when it comes to conditions like dementia. By fostering healthy habits early, we have a better chance of enjoying sharper minds as we age, and helping the next generation do the same.
Well put. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom, where the seeds of good health are planted early, from childhood weight management all the way to how we age. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Alara. Thanks for listening, and remember, every healthy step you take now is an investment in your future cognitive bank. Let's keep our brains, and our kids' brains, working at full capacity for as long as possible.
Until next time, stay curious, stay active, and never underestimate the power of chasing your kid around the backyard. Sometimes the simplest moves can have the biggest impact.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Ethan. Catch you all later.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.